Did you know that some Washington quarters could be worth thousands, maybe even hundreds thousands of dollars? That's right. What looks like ordinary pocket change could actually be a hidden treasure. We're diving deep into the top 5 most valuable Washington quarter dollars ever discovered. From rare mint errors to elusive low mintage years, these coins have shocked collectors and broken records at auction. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just curious about your spare change, one of these quarters might even be sitting in your collection right now. We're diving deep into the jaw-dropping world of the 1966 Washington quarter dollar, a coin born during a turbulent time in U.S. minting history loaded with secrets, surprises, and a few costly mistakes that turned ordinary change into extraordinary treasure. After the U.S. Coinage Act of 1966, silver was eliminated from the dime and quarter in response to a nationwide silver shortage. The U.S. Mint introduced new clad coins composed of a copper core with a nickel outer layer. In 1965 and 1966, to discourage hoarding and get coins quickly into circulation, the Mint suspended the use of mint marks and proof sets, resulting in less traceable production and, ultimately, an environment ripe for minting errors struck on silver planchette. The standard 5.67 grams of clad coins, around 6.25 grams, the same as pre-1965 90% silver quarters at auction. One example sold for over $85,000 to $95,000, double strikes and off-center errors. Double struck or struck off-center, creating bizarre, warped coins that collectors drool over. $1,000 to over $10,000, struck on dime planchette. These error coins were struck on dime-sized planchets by mistake. These coins are ultra-rare and have sold for upwards of $15,000 to $18,000. Ultra-high strike condition is key here. Coins graded MS67 or higher with exceptional strike quality can sell for $7,000 to $25,000 or more. Silver planchette with double strike. Recently sold in a private collector sale for a reported $120,000 to $200,000, depending on market fluctuation and bear interest. Auction sales that shocked the coin. Let's look at some actual auction results that stunned both dealers and collectors. Heritage Auctions reported a 1966 quarter struck on a silver planchette sold in 2021 for $96,000 in MS64 condition. Another 1966 off-metal error struck on a 10-cent planchette went for $14,100 in 2023. A double struck 1966 quarter first strike centered. Second strike 85% off-center was auctioned for $12,500. A top-rated MS67 quarter with a rare reverse strike fetched $18,200 on Stacksbowers in 2022. A rumored private sale of a 1966 Washington quarter struck on leftover 90% silver stock went for a jaw-dropping to $100,000, the highest known price for this date. How to identify a rare 1966 Washington quarter dollar? So, how can you spot a 1966 error quarter in your change or collection? Weigh your coin. Use a precision scale. A regular 1966 quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If it weighs 6.25 grams, you may have a silver planchette error. Call a professional immediately. Examine the edges. Normal clad quarters show copper edges. A full silver colored edge with no copper could indicate a silver planchette. Look for striking errors. Double struck coins, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and misaligned dies are all signs of valuable errors. Use a loupe or magnifying glass to check for doubling or ghost images. The shocking story of the 1968 Washington quarter dollar, a coin so rare, so mysterious, and so valuable that collectors have paid 6 figures just to own one. From transitional planchets to double strikes, this isn't your average pocket change. This is treasure in disguise. To understand the value behind the 1968 error quarters, we need to look at the unique environment of the U.S. Mint during this turbulent period. After the Coinage Act of 1965, silver was removed from the dime and quarter denominations, and coins were now being made using a clad composition of copper-nickel outer layers over a pure copper core, struck on a 90% silver planchette. Have sold privately for $150,000, with projected value in the $200,000 to $150,000 range depending on condition and demand. Double-struck off-center strike, a high-grade double-struck, 1968 quarter sold for over $18,000, and experts believe pristine examples could exceed $25,000, $30,000 in auctions today. Struck on a dime planchette. Rarity is extreme, with fewer than 5 confirmed examples, one sold for $12,650, and another rumored private sale exceeded $20,000. Missing clad layer. While less rare than other errors, a 1968 quarter with this error in mint state condition can sell for $2,000, $5,000, depending on eye appeal. Auction sales, real money. Let's take a closer look at real auction records that stunned even veteran coin collectors. $150,000 private sale, silver planchette error. A single 1968 quarter struck on a leftover 90% silver planchette was graded MS62 and quietly sold in 2022 via a private auction broker. The seller requested anonymity, but the beer confirmed the sale exceeded $150,000. Double-struck gem quarter, $20,000 to $1,500. Sold by Stacksbowers in 2023, this 1968 quarter was double-struck and 70% off-center. It fetched $20,000 to $1,500 due to its rarity, dramatic visuals, and pristine luster. 1968 dime planchette error, $17,400. An extremely rare example of a 1968 quarter struck on a dime planchette was auctioned in early 2024 for $17,400, setting a new record for that particular error type. How to identify a rare 1968 Washington quarter dollar? Think you might have a valuable 1968 quarter hiding in your change? Here's how to tell. Weigh the coin. Use a sensitive digital scale. Regular clad quarter, 5.67 grams. Silver planchette, 6.25 grams. Dime planchette, 2.27 grams. If it's off, get it checked professionally. Edge inspection. A normal clad coin will have a copper stripe on the edge. If the edge is pure silver colored, no copper, that's a serious red flag in a good way. Off-center or double strike. Look for signs of a shifted design. Missing letters, warped busts, or dual images can indicate double striking or off-center errors. What if I told you a simple Washington quarter from 1971, yes, just 25 cents could be worth more than your car, your mortgage, maybe even your entire retirement plan? The 1971 Washington quarter dollar has shattered expectations, turning heads at auction and making seasoned collectors lose sleep. We're not talking about the hundreds, we're not talking about the thousands. The 1971 Washington quarter was part of a long-standing tradition. First introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, this quarter design became a U.S. staple for decades. But by 1971, the U.S. Mint was already well into the modern clad coinage era. Due to rising silver prices in the 1960s, the Mint had removed silver from circulating. Off-center strike error, minor off-center, 5 to 10%, $20, $50, moderate off-center, 15 to 40%, with visible date. $100 to $150, major off-center, over 50%, with date visible. $300, $700 plus. Double die obverse DDO, light doubling, $25, $75. Moderate to strong doubling, $100, $300. Rare, confirmed high-grade DDOs, MS65 or higher, $500, $1,000 plus. Clipped planchette error, minor clip less than 5%, $15, $30. More noticeable clip with clear missing edge, $40, $80. Dramatic clip especially with visible date and full design elsewhere, $100 to $150 plus. Real auction sales and values. You may be wondering how real are these values. The silver planchette quarter. In 2021, a 1971 quarter struck on a 40% silver planchette surfaced at auction. Experts believe it was struck using leftover blank metal meant for Eisenhower dollars. The coin was authenticated and graded MS66 by PCGS. It sold for $141,000. Yes, $141,000 for one quarter. Wrong planchette magic. Another example involves a 1971 quarter struck on a foreign coin blank, possibly intended for use in a U.S. territory or foreign contract. The weight was off, and it had an odd metallic shine. This coin, Authenticated by NGC. Fetched $48,500 at auction. The unseen $300,000 possibility. Several error collectors and experts speculate that even rarer versions may exist, but remain undiscovered, such as if such an example were found in high mint state, or proof-like condition. $250,000 to $300,000 would not be out of the question. How to identify a 1971 Washington Quarter dollar? If you want to be the next person to discover a six-figure quarter, here's what to watch for. Weight check. A normal 1971 quarter should weigh 5.67 grams, if yours weighs significantly more or less. It could be struck on the wrong metal. Edge inspection. Look for missing reading or odd color layers, a telltale sign of off-metal blanks. Sound test. Silver coins often produce a higher pitched ring when gently dropped on a hard surface. Strange color or luster. If it looks different, it might be different. The story behind this rare gem. What makes the 1983 P-era Washington Quarter dollar so special, how it happened, how you can spot one, and how some examples have fetched. So don't blink, don't skip, and definitely don't leave. Because by the end of you might be checking your own coin stash for a piece of American history that could make you rich. In 1983, the U.S. Mint struck over 673 million quarters at the Philadelphia Mint, hence the P Mint mark. This was during a period when the mint was still adjusting to relatively new technology introduced after the Coinage Act of 1965. That act had removed silver from circulating quarters and replaced it with a copper-nickel-clad composition. Eagle die clash error. Circulated VFXF, $15 $30. Uncirculated MS63 MS65, $50 $150. High-grade MS66 Plus or CAC approved, $200 $500 plus. Off-center strike error, 5 to 10% off-center, $50 $150. 15 to 50% off-center with full date showing, to $100 $600 plus. Extreme over 50% off-center or on wrong planchette, $1,000 plus. Wrong planchette struck on a dime or nickel planchette, struck on dime planchette to point to 7 grams, $500 $1,000 plus. Struck on foreign planchette, for example Philippine, Bahamas, etc., $300 $1,500 depending on rarity. Struck on nickel planchette, $800 to $1,000. Auction sales price values to $100,000 to $350,000. Now for the part you've been waiting for. How much can these quarters actually be worth? Here are some eye-popping real-world figures. In 2014, a certified 1983 P quarter, missing its clad layer, graded MS65 by PCGS, sold at auction for $15,000. That was over a decade ago in recent private sales and major auctions. Ultra-rare high-grade examples with combined errors, such as missing clad layer plus off-center strike or clad layer plus die clash, have reportedly fetched upwards of $200,000 to $250,000. And here's the crown jewel. A 1983 P quarter struck on the wrong planchette with a double strike error and mint state surfaces. Authenticated by PCGS, had estimated valuations exceeding $350,000, making it one of the most valuable error quarters ever discovered. How to identify a genuine 1983 P Washington Quarter dollar. Color and tone. A normal 1983 P quarter has a silvery, nickel-clad surface. If you spot one with a reddish, coppery tone on both sides, it may be missing its clad layer. Weight. A normal quarter weighs 5.67 grams. A quarter missing the outer clad layer will weigh significantly less, around 4.2 to 4.5 grams. Use a digital scale to verify strike weakness or detail. Missing clad layers can impact the way the coin is struck. Details might appear mushy or incomplete, particularly in the hair and eagle feathers. Surface texture. Look for a grainy or porous texture instead of the smooth clad finish. Certification is KEY. If you think you found one, do not clean the coin. Submit it to a trusted grader like PCGS or NGC for authentication and encapsulation. That's where the real value comes in. We're diving deep into the mystery of the 1984 P-era Washington Quarter dollar. We'll break down exactly what makes these coins worth a fortune, how to spot one, the shocking auction prices, and the little-known historical twist that made this rare era possible. The Washington Quarter has been a staple of American coinage since 1932. Designed to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the quarter has become one of the most iconic coins in American history. By 1984, the United States Mint in Philadelphia was producing millions of these coins every single day. Over 676 million 1984 P-quarters were struck. So how does a common coin from a common year become a six-figure treasure, struck through grease error? Struck through grease errors have sold for upwards of $15,000 to $25,000, and experts believe a flawless example could push far higher in a bidding war. Double struck error. These 1984 P examples are ultra-rare, in top condition. A high-grade double-struck quarter can fetch $100,000 to $150,000. Clipped planchette error, especially if the clip affects key design elements. From $2,000 to $10,000, with extreme examples going much higher. Real auction results, big money. Now let's talk real money. These aren't just theories or dream values. These coins have already shocked auction houses and stunned the collecting world. Let's take a look at some documented sales. A 1984 P quarter with a bold double strike, 80% off center, sold at auction for $156,000 in 2023. Another struck through grease error with almost all of Washington's face missing and stunning detail fetched $38,000 in a 2022 online auction. A third example, featuring a massive die break and retained cut over the obverse, was listed by a private dealer for $225,000 and it sold. And here's the kicker. Numismatic insiders believe a perfect, uncirculated, dramatic double strike or major mint error 194 P could blow past $500,000 at auction. All it takes is one major collector and one ultra-rare coin, and the sky's the limit. How to identify a valuable 1984 P Washington quarter dollar? Okay, now let's get practical. Here's what to look for when going through your 1984 quarters. Look for the P mint mark. Make sure it's a 1984 quarter from the Philadelphia Mint, marked with a small P just to the right of Washington's ponytail. Scan for obvious errors. Is the image distorted? Are parts of the coin missing? Is there doubling or ghosting of features? Check the rim. Uneven edges, strange flattening, or visible clips may indicate a clipped planchette or off-center strike. Use a loupe. A strong magnifying glass will help you catch small but critical die errors or weak strikes that could signal a struck-through grease error. Get it graded. If you find something unusual, don't send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. A coin graded MS65 or higher with a dramatic error can explode in value.